Do we choose to forget? President Biden said that 1 in 1,000 African Americans have been killed because of the coronavirus, and that Trump did nothing. There is no question that Black Americans were more severely affected by COVID-19 than whites. Even the Public Health Agency agrees that Black Americans were disproportionately affected. Analyses and studies show that people of color have been hit harder by the coronavirus. The APM Research Lab found that the COVID-19 death rate for blacks is 1 in 1,020, 97.9 deaths per 100,000. The report notes that, if blacks had died of COVID-19 at the same actual rate as white Americans, about 20,800 black, 10,900 Latino, 700 indigenous, and 80 Pacific Islander Americans would still be alive. Do we choose to forget the Central Park Five, who were teenagers at the time, charged of assaults against Trisha Meili, the white female jogger, and 2 men, all of whom were attacked on the same night while jogging in Central Park? They were arrested and charged for the rape and assault of Meili. The 5 pleaded not guilty and maintained their innocence throughout the trial, but were convicted in 1990. The 5 were exonerated and their convictions tossed out in 2002, when DNA evidence was matched to a different man who confessed to the assaults. They are now known as the exonerated 5. However, Trump continued choosing to declare the black men guilty, and with a paid news article asked that they be put to death. He never apologized for his error in thinking, and now at this time desires to be President of the United States and to have young minorities to emulate his behavior. Don't be deceived about Trump. Haven passed a significant criminal justice reform measure, but his administration has worked to undo it. Trump said that America has reached a historic reduction of violent crime during his presidency, saying, "We signed a landmark criminal justice reform bill that nobody thought was possible to think about. I did that. I did that. I got that done," he said. In December 2018, Trump did indeed sign the First Step Act, which made the most substantial changes in a generation to tough-on-crime laws that increased the federal prison population by 700% since 1970. Since Trump signed the measure into law, more than 3,000 people have been released from federal prison due to the law's good time credits, which provide early release for well-behaved inmates. Hundreds have been released into the Elderly Home Confinement Pilot Program, which places older federal inmates in home confinement before the end of their prison term, and more than 2,000 people, 91% of whom are black, received sentencing reductions because the First Step Act retroactively applied the Fair Sentencing Act of 2010, a law Obama passed, reducing the sentencing disparity between crack and cocaine charges. While these changes are large, many have pointed to the areas where the act fails, and why Trump cannot take full credit for the initiative. En route to vote, cast your vote with an honest intent. Do not be misled by people who try to buy blacks by the dollar sign. Stay spiritually sober to recall what Trump has said about race. The killing of George Floyd and nationwide protests over police violence against black Americans sparked a racial reckoning in America and has drawn renewed attention to how President Donald Trump talks about race. He has faced federal charges of racial discrimination at his businesses, but used his Mar-a-Lago resort to smash white-only membership policies in Palm Beach, Florida. He was among the loudest voices behind a baseless attack on the legitimacy of the nation's first black president, and his own cabinet is among the least diverse in modern history. At the same time, Trump has hired White House advisors focused on outreach to African Americans. Trump has a Jewish daughter and grandchildren, yet left Jews out of a Holocaust remembrance statement and referred to one Jewish group as negotiators. He said an Indiana judge could not rule on a border case because of his Mexican heritage. He funded ads that associated Native Americans with drug use and crime, and he told 4 congresswomen of color to go back to the countries they came from originally. All are American citizens, and 3 were born in the United States. All this from a president at the same time insists that he wants to unite the country. Be mindful of truth when voting, because some people really think minorities do not have the ability to think.